On 26 June 2019, we at auction house Künker will hold our auction 323. It will begin with an extensive special collection of French coins and medals. Using the pieces featured in this collection, we've put together a brief summary of everything you need to know about French coinage. The second part takes you from the beginning of the early modern period to the present day. The 100 Years' War ended in 1453. It had led France to the brink of annihilation. When Louis XI came to power, his most urgent task was to restore the French economy through prosperity. An important step in this direction was the introduction of a new stable gold coin, the écu d'or au soleil. On the obverse it shows the lilies of the royal coat of arms on a crowned shield. Above them a small sun. The shield is called l'écu in French. The sun is le soleil, and thus we have the name of the coin, l'écu d'or au soleil. It was to be minted for many centuries. This example was created in Dijon. You can tell by the mint mark, a small shell directly above the sun on the left. Don't be fooled into thinking that all the little dots you see in the field are die errors. On the contrary, they are called points secrets, secret points. They indicate to the specialist which mint master was responsible for which strike. Therefore, we can date this écu d'or to the year 1498, even though no year is indicated on the coin. In French numismatics, the coin denomination normally describes what can be seen on the piece. An écu au soleil is a shield with a sun. An écu au porc-épic, like the one you see here, is a shield with a porcupine. And indeed, to the left and right of the shield we can see the heraldic animal of Louis XII, the porcupine. With this you have a guide on how to interpret coin names. A double Henri d'or is a double-weight gold coin with a Henry depicted on it. Et voilà! This 7.27 gram gold coin shows the portrait of Henry II on the obverse. Henry II was the first French king to have his portrait depicted on gold coins. There were models in silver. Louis XII had the first French Tostan minted according to Italian models, but this was not until 1515, the year of his death. Under Francis I, this new coin type was widely used. The Tostan became the most important silver coin in France. Let's admit it, the portraits that Francis I saw on his coins were not always flattering. However, this may not have been the reason why the king was striving for a unification of his coinage. It is always the same. In order to promote the economy, a regulated monetary system is needed. This regulated monetary system goes into a skid when the prince finances his ambitions with debasements of coinage. In 1540, Francis I issued a coin edict which once again fixed the weight and the fineness of the various coin types. This was a well-known procedure. What was new was that he assigned a letter as mint mark to each royal mint. This enabled every user to see where their coin came from. The secret signs used in the High Middle Ages were thus abolished. The Monnaie de Paris received the letter A. Rouen, where this coin came from, received the letter B, and so on. We have arrived at the period of the Wars of Religion, more precisely at the reign of Charles IX, who ruled from 1550 to 1560. He went down in history mainly because of the bloody events of St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. His brother, Henry III, who followed him, did not succeed in ending the wars of religion too. However, in terms of monetary history, he was of decisive importance for France. It was under his rule that the silver franc was minted for the first time. Franc, this was the name given to the new heavy silver coin, which was mainly minted in half and quarter pieces. As is the case here, where you can see a half franc of 1588. You can tell that it was produced in Poitiers by the letter G. Henry III was murdered, and Henry IV of the House of Bourbon took over the government. He had no resources for a representative coinage, which is why very few gold coins like this écu d'or au soleil from his reign have survived. Henry IV was also murdered, and his son Louis XIII, who was not even 9 years old, came to the throne. Although the court considered him incapable, the still young ruler succeeded in stabilizing the country in cooperation with Cardinal Richelieu. Of course, this also included a solid monetary system. In March 1640, Louis XIII carried out his reform. It brought a new denomination, the louis d'or, which was something very unique from a technical point of view. Unlike the pieces minted before the reform, the new louis d'or was completely round because it was coined in a ring. With a rimming machine, the edge was shaped additionally, so that it was immediately obvious if a fraud had rasped off some gold from the edge of the coin. Today, our eyes are used to such coins, but compare this piece with an écu au soleil minted before the reform, and the difference will become clear. In addition, the reform of 1640 finally brought France a coin in thaler weight. They were called écus blancs, white shield, after the depiction on the reverse, or louis d'argent, in contrast to the louis d'or. By and large, Louis XIV and the XV adhered to the system, even though their coinage appears much more varied than that of their predecessors, due to the many different variations of the coin design. There's the louis d'or with a short strand, the louis d'or with a long strand, the louis d'or with a spare head, the louis d'or with a wig and the 8 L's, the louis d'or with a shield, the louis d'or of Noailles, named after the then Minister of Finance, or the louis d'or with the cross of the Holy Spirit, and many, many more. These changes made sense, at least for the king. At its introduction, the louis d'or weighed approximately 6.7 grams. Then Louis XIV fought his wars and Louis XV held ruinous feasts. The result was financial disruption, and a louis d'or which weighed considerably less and was of a clearly worse fineness, but nevertheless possessed more purchasing power than the original version of 1640. We know today that it was not the intellectuals' thirst for freedom that fueled the French Revolution, but the hunger of the masses. They were desperate because the traditional economic system put them at a disadvantage and brought them to the brink of extinction at the slightest fluctuation in grain prices. Nevertheless, after the siege of the Bastille, it took more than 6 years for the People's Assembly to create a fair coinage system in which the small change of the poor was treated in the same way as the gold and silver coins of the rich. The new coin was based on the decimal system. 100 centimes were worth 1 franc. Gone were the days when you had to pay a high surcharge to exchange gold coins of stable value for small change. The new currency spread at lightning speed. The revolutionary armies captured enough silver to completely replace the old royal money with new revolutionary coins. Since then, the franc has remained the currency of France, whether under Napoleon, the returned Louis XVIII, the citizen king Louis Philippe, Napoleon III, or after the defeat of 1870-71, the Third Republic. Franc was part of French identity until 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down and François Mitterrand made France's agreement to a reunification of Germany dependent on the German government agreeing to the introduction of a European currency. This was the end of French coinage history, and the beginning of a European coinage history. We at the Künker Auction House are delighted to invite you to our Summer Auction 2019. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.